Welcome everybody. I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Gadigal and Wangal people of the Eora Nation and the traditional custodians past and present of the unceded land on which I live and work. Thank you for the opportunity to actually introduce bamboo. It's not a new material to me, I grew up with it. And I'd like to share my journey and then also share some of the key points around bamboo. So bamboo is a regenerative, where are we? Sorry, technically challenge, re-engineering our future. So I grew up with bamboo. My father started House of Bamboo in Australia 50 years ago. And it was from a desire of wanting to introduce this material. Unfortunately, he spent most of his time trying to change our home into a tiki bar. So the visions of bamboo and my association with it began there. So 11 years ago, my father asked me to join him. He was unwell. And in my process, I'd studied architecture. And I came in, and to be honest, I wasn't super excited about the concept of working with bamboo. So I decided to do a journey of discovery. And that entailed me learning about the plant, its growth, its manufacturing, and then how those materials could be used in the built environment, considering that I've been studying architecture. So the key for bamboo is its growth. Everybody knows it grows very fast, but the real key is its harvest cycle. For construction materials, we harvest bamboo between years 5 and 7 because we know that the cell structure is at its optimal. And then when you compare that with timber, you can see that we can really create a good supply of the material for the construction industry as a support to timber. So I learned about its regeneration, and because of its fast growth, these are photos from a project in China, and that's a 10-year change from reforesting the land with the bamboo, and then 10 years later, that's what the land looked like. It has an extensive rhizome network, so it actually helps with soil erosion, and it binds and restores the soil. And then it repairs the soil, which is a key thing. It is a phytoremediating quality, so it actually takes toxins out of the soil. It's one of the most effective plants to do so, which really helps us restore the land. It stores 4 times more carbon dioxide than trees. The faster a plant grows in simplicity, the more carbon it stores, and it actually produces 35% more oxygen. So that in itself is a wow factor. And it actually retains far more water. So that actually helps keep the plant in drought seasons to continue through. The biodiversity area I found really interesting. We talk a lot about reforestation and then having programs to plant trees, but there's always a delay in the displacement of the biodiversity and then that having to regain itself. The key for me in understanding the bamboo and one of its key factors is how do we harvest bamboo? So bamboo generally shoots once a year, and the process of it properly done is that you mark each column as it grows with a number. And then at the time you want to harvest it, you go back into that forest and you just cut the columns at a number 1, for instance. And then you do that same process each year. So in fact, what you're doing is you're harvesting 25% of the forest and keeping 75% intact. So the biodiversity remains. The other key factor with bamboo is that it regenerates itself. So once you cut it, it just continues to grow. So there is no need or cause that you're worried about it regrowing, and it doesn't require pesticides or fertilizers. And then its afterlife, and what we can do with it is the bioenergy. It's modified into charcoal, which can get converted into gas and thermal electricity. Ethanol generates more energy than it produces. It's extremely high in lignin, which is the binding agency between its cellular structure, and it makes it desirable species for solid biofuel production, which is equal to the value of coal, but takes up much less space and occupation. And we're working with some areas around using it as pellets for livestock feed. But as I started on my journey and trying to understand how I could be motivated by bamboo, it blew me away so much when I understood the enormity of how this plant could change the world. And then I looked at what is bamboo and the key regenerative materials. So the definition of a regenerative material is an approach to managing agro-ecosystems that provides fibres and materials in ways that create positive outcomes for nature. And bamboo does it all. So then I wanted to look at building and design. And simplistically, bamboo can be separated into both organic design or engineered design. Because we're limited with time, I'm just going to concentrate on the engineered design, especially in the fact that I'd attended that CLT engineered timber meeting yesterday too, so I think that's relevant. So in simple terms, there's two processes of construction in making materials, and one is lamination. So the first thing is what's critical is you must adhere to the 5 to 7 year harvesting of the plant, because we know that's its optimal cell structure. We then split the bamboo into pieces and we take the skin off it, because the skin's got about 2.5% of silica, which prevents it from being able to absorb anything. But of course, that's its protective coating for nature. And then we carbonize the bamboo, which is we put it into a vat of steam between 200 to 400 degrees, and that crystallizes the sugar content. And it's a little bit like making toffee on a stove. The longer you leave it, the darker it gets. The crystallization of the sugar helps with mold and prevents insect infestation. And then we take those elements and then we laminate them, very similar to the CLT timber process. Strand woven is the other term that you'll hear, and that is we start the same process, but once we've carbonized bamboo, we put it through and we shred it into strands. And then we put them in vats and we heat those vats. We cold press it or we hot press it, and we put a phenolic resin through that, which locks in as it gets heated, so there's no VOCs. And then this becomes a very, very dense material, much harder than most hardwoods. And it's used extensively for decking and those type of materials. So you've got two types of bamboo products, essentially. And from that, we make a number of different building solution materials. And as inspiration, these are all bamboo materials used. Holland is quite progressive and innovative in how it does it, but this is in Holland. And these are some of the projects that have already used bamboo. This is the decking in an apartment block. The structural beams, bridges being done. This is the train station in France. You can see the bamboo floorings. Extensive work was done on that to create that as an end product that was successful. This is here in Australia. This is one of the projects where we supplied some materials for the architects for a restaurant. So the potential to change the world and my understanding of bamboo got me so motivated that when I came back, I couldn't stop. I started working with the key commercial grower in Australia of bamboo and started developing and designing materials from the in the production of bamboo and engineered. My mandate was, in my understanding, that whatever we did, we used the resins that were the least toxic and to start to work towards a bio glue that would eventually bind the material. So I kept saying, why isn't it being specified in Australia? Why isn't it being specified in Australia? So for a few reasons, and I think Amanda actually touched on it, but, you know, largely there's a lot of misinformation. A lot of the references that I heard about the resins, etc., came from maybe 20 years, 25 years ago when laminated bamboo first probably appeared on the market. Formaldehyde is still used. There's a lot of work around bioglues and using lignine. However, you know, responsible companies that are really driving bio-based materials do the very best they can at their expense to produce resins, etc., that are, you know, good for the environment. And in fact, our bamboo, engineered bamboo, a cup of coffee has 400 times more formaldehyde than our engineered bamboo. So that blew my mind. So I just thought, oh my God. Regulations and standards have to change. Of course, bamboo is grass, but it has to adhere to the same standards of timber at the moment because it isn't recognised as a material. There's a lack of education, although that's increasing, but we need to start that at university level. We need to start that in the learning of building and architecture and design, and we need to start to introduce it. I'm encouraged by the amount of research in the last 12 months that's increased around the world, and universities taking on board research projects, which has been phenomenal. And that just needs to continue to work at an exponential rate as it recognises the importance that bamboo can place in this field. Accreditation is difficult. It's cost prohibitive. I think great innovation generally comes from very small entities that don't have the ability to be able to pay for that. And then that becomes cost prohibitive, and then we can't get these products to the market. So there needs to be some thinking around that and how we can try and work with that. And then I think there needs to be more collaboration. Everybody, I feel, works within their own entity and works on innovation within their realm. We need to have a lot more united cooperation where industries can cross over. The timber industry can work with the bamboo industry for the end goal of supply of material. And I think that that's critical in order for us to move this forward in a really positive way. And the reason that's critical is the planet cannot provide us with enough timber if we're going to meet our goals. It's as simple as that. And, you know, if you understand that, bamboo can really offer a potential solution to the wood supply issue. And I think that the more you recognise that and the growth that the bamboo can do and the continual harvesting and supply, we can work in partnership to achieve that goal. So in my quest, I redid the whole showroom, brought in all the engineered bamboo that I could do in different design facets, and provided a showroom that people could actually understand what was possible. And I think that that was key, because a large point of it is that people don't really understand what you can do with bamboo and how it can be a nice addition, you know, an equal addition to timber. So we created a showroom. We worked on getting the accreditation. We worked on getting the accreditation with Global Green Tag, because our mandate was to be as green as possible with all the binding agents. We achieved the highest level straight away, the highest health level on all our products. So that was just a nice reassurance that we were on the right track. So people always said, so is it in Australia? Are we doing it in Australia? So no, we don't have a bamboo industry in Australia. We don't have any recognition of bamboo as a building material. There's no dedicated bamboo plantations. There's one commercial plantation, of which the grower I work with, and there's no government initiative to grow bamboo or develop an industry. And that is my driving force for us to be able to do this in Australia. There is no reason why we can't. We have the climate. We have 1.7 million kilometres of suitable land to grow bamboo. We have the plant. There are over 200 species of bamboo that currently grow in Australia, of which 5 are native to Australia already. Belly Park was the first commercial plantation of bamboo, started 30 years ago by a guy called Dern, who still runs it, out of a love and belief in that bamboo can change the world. And he was a farmer, and he started this venture. It's still going strong. There's regeneration of polluted open cast mining projects we've done or been aware of that are successful using bamboo. And there's also ablution plants using bamboo to uptake toxins, to clean water from sewerage, to provide clear water. So there's some fantastic initiatives that have been done in Australia, and we have proven success. And this is the Yarramie coal mine. That was the planting of bamboo to fix the soil, and that was 2 years later. So we've got the answers and we've got the ability to do this here in Australia. We can learn from overseas and the success that's there, but we can bring this technology here because it exists worldwide. So as an example of a solution, there's 80,000 disused mines in Australia. If we do some mine rehabilitation and we plant the bamboo, we know that it'll grow in the soil. We know there's no maintenance, there's no pesticides, and it will utilise the available water that is extracted from that mine. We're going to be able to improve the soil because it's going to bind it and provide the nutrients. We've got a carbon sink. We can provide filtered water as it leaches out the contaminants. We create the ecosystem again that's gone, and we can provide a yearly harvest of construction material that is going to impede and help the wood supply issues that we will have as we continue on this path. So we've got it all here. And there isn't enough timber to provide for forecasted demand. So the need to find alternate regenerative materials is a must, not a maybe. And bamboo is really a no-brainer. And this opportunity to introduce this concept and have the support and the continued, if you continually look at bamboo as a solution, we can get this industry happening in Australia and then provide it, you know. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.